Here we go. Welcome back to the All Things Aged Care Weekly Wrap-Up. My name is Anthony Newen, aged care recruitment expert and host of the Pioneers in Aged Care podcast. I'm the guy who's bringing sexy back to aged care through storytelling while simultaneously recruiting high-level clinical personnel and executives into the sector. So if you're open to new opportunities in aged care, all you have to do is connect with me on LinkedIn or send your CV to anthony@acrex.com.au. Next, we have Robert Covino, founder and CEO of Mirrors Australia. He led the creation of technologies like Mirrors Metrics and Care Minute Manager, and now Mirrors Plus, an AI-powered platform uniting software and data to streamline everything from admissions to compliance. The magic doesn't stop there, as they have a whole suite of offerings to unveil soon as they move towards a never-ending goal to #MakeAgedCareBetter. Rounding out our hosting crew is Owen Matheson, Strategic Growth Advisor and Connector at Mission Critical and founder of Aligned Equity. He's the matchmaker behind Mirrors Plus and works across Mirrors and Dayspring Care to bring together the right people, strategy and partnerships to unlock real growth in aged care. He's also the co-founder of Steward, which is a community connection platform focused on helping people connect, belong and improve their well-being, all in on the mission to make aged care better. And our special guest for today has over a decade of executive experience across aged care and public health and is a powerhouse of strategic reform. From leading multi-million-dollar capital projects to achieving full accreditation, she has built a reputation for turning complex frameworks into real-world results that prioritize both organizational excellence and human dignity. All this while flying massively under the radar. So I really had to twist her arm to strut her stuff.
Until now.
As honorable as it is to remain humble, it is even more important to let your work inspire others so that we can bring sexy back to aged care. So she's currently the General Manager of GOC Care and a Queensland State Council member of Aging Australia. She is a fierce advocate for culturally specific care and leads with a unique heart-centered style, famously empowering her team by asking exactly what they need from her to be rock stars in their roles. Whether she is navigating New Aged Care Act or caravanning across Queensland, her infectious energy and commitment to community are unmatched. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise the roof for Alexandra Tsavasilis-Faull. And I apologize if I butchered your name. I was going to ask you again.
I've lived with that the whole time I've had that surname, so it's all good. Thank you so much for having me.
No
You are so welcome, Alexandra. And I've got to say, I don't know how you fly under the radar, because when people are in the room with you, they know you're there. in a good way. In a very good way. And you got to watch for those hand gestures, because you've got a wingspan.
I am a little tall, yeah.
Well, there it comes. But you've been on quite a journey. Obviously, we're going to talk about GOC Care, and that's a really exciting chapter. But can we talk where it all kind of began for you with Vincent Care and your first sort of foray into the care industry, if that was?
Absolutely. So my first foray into aged care was with Vincent Care Victoria. So shout out to everybody down there. I think there's a few people online today. I started off as their health and safety manager, and it was literally my first foray into aged care. And it was where, and I've coined this before, is where I got my bug for aged care. It was the first time in my career that I was able to say, I am doing something that matters. I'm doing something that is purposeful and meaningful. And so, I look back at that time when I was overseeing health and safety in 7 aged care homes around Victoria, which have later been bought out by Mecca Care, and they are doing amazing work in that space. And then, as things evolve and whatnot, you move into other areas. And my current role and my last role has been for called providers within aged care. My surname might give it away a little bit. I am Greek. And
just
so,
just
a little bit. And so working in those spaces really gives meaning to me as a second generation migrant family. My grandparents came out to this country in the 50s, and being able to support those people that came before us and really serving them as they have served us in giving us these amazing opportunities. So being able to craft my skill, my experience, my quals, my days at uni, which sometimes we remember and don't remember, but being able to use that in every day, and being able to build amazing systems to support those that came before us is what gives me my buzz. So that's a very short of 10 years.
So good.
So we are going to go maybe a little bit through the LinkedIn, but sorry, Rob, you have a question.
Oh, I was just going to say that's the why. I mean, one of the things I always ask, is what is your why? And I love hearing that. Was there a specific moment though that it really hit you? Because like I can almost put it down to two moments in my career, my experience there.
I think initially it was when I moved into Vincent Care and I got that taste for aged care. I think it really hit home for me when my grandmother needed to go into aged care when we were still living in Melbourne, and going through that process and being an outsider, because you're not actually able to influence anything in another home, but watching how she moved into aged care and how they helped my family as well. So also a shout out to Fonda the Care down in Melbourne. Just being able to bring our cultural essence, I guess, to what we do. Everybody can do aged care, but it's how you do it. And if you can lead from your heart, you are already miles ahead. So if I can contribute in some way to that, I know that at the end of the day, when I close my eyes at night, I have done the very best for my community, but also honouring the people that have come before me.
I love that. So that kind of is a theme for you. I mean, we're going to talk about, you jumped across to Alfred Health. And that was more of that occupational health and safety type focus. But what attracted you there? It looked like a larger operation, maybe?
Massive. Yeah. So the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne, just off Commercial Road, was an opportunity for me to jump into, obviously, healthcare, like true direct healthcare, like primary care. It opened my eyes to a whole different world. But the calling was still strong for aged care. I knew I was wanting to be in a care environment or a care sector. But for some reason, I was still always thinking about the resis that I had built beautiful relationships and how I can impact their families and things like that, where public health for me was a little bit more everyday and really quickly moving along, where for aged care, it's about building relationships and trust with those families. And that, I think, is, what keeps you going. So.
And watching it play out with the families that you are caring for, imagine you would have seen and got to know a lot of amazing people through the years too in that role.
You do.
Anyone stand out to you?
Oh, there's lots of families, I have to say, because I think you build different relationships in different ways. Sometimes when they come to you and, they're concerned about their loved one and they need your help to navigate something, I think being able to take them from that moment of a mini crisis or a crisis through that out the other end and still have them happy to be within your service, know that you can build trust with them so that they can come back. And I think it's that longer term engagement with the clients, which is what's exciting for me, because it allows you into their family, because we are very privileged to be able to work in aged care. Like, beautiful families and their client and our clients allow us into their home. They allow us into the most intimate parts of their life, and to continue to be able to do that, I think it says something very special about human interconnection.
Oh, absolutely, especially within a specific cultural environments too. So having very specific, Greek Orthodox, a lot of friends and family in that Greek. I love it. I'm Italian and Irish, so we're very spirited as well. But it's all about family and those elements. But that's so good to see, because once you experience that, and that was really my why. As a younger age, definitely. My parents were quite old when they had me, so therefore I really didn't get to have a relationship with my grandparents. And so therefore I always envied a lot of my friends who had that quintessential relationship with those with their grandparents. But then as I got older, and then specifically when I came out here to Australia and was doing some healthcare work, I just fell in love with the aged care sector. I just loved how they worked with us, and the way in which they also really took us us on board as working for a big four. It's a very different between clients to clients. Because some clients, you're there because you're doing a cost reduction or something, so everyone's a little bit nervous about the elements. But it was generally so well. They wanted to help, they wanted to learn, they wanted anything that you could offer them, and I just love that, and so that's what clicked for me in that first time around.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Finnish journey you went on, because not everyone gets to experience a Finnish aged care home. So we're going to land obviously in
I want to hear more about
the role
this.
you're in now. But let's go there for a moment. A trip to Finland.
Sure. Trip to Finland.
Yeah, what was it like?
So I guess the one thing that I want to remember, so if I've got anybody on here that is at Fincare, it's hyvää iltapäivää, which is good afternoon in Finnish. I still remember some of my Finnish. For me, going to Fincare,
would love that if she's tuned in.
She would, exactly. She'll absolutely be here on the call somewhere. So joining Fincare, which is the only Finnish aged care provider in the whole of the country. So I was very, very privileged to take on that role there at Fincare. Fincare's got a very beautiful and unique story in how it came to be. They recently celebrated their 50th birthday, and it really started from humble beginnings. There was a group of very dedicated Finns across Canberra and Queensland that thought, we are going to get old and we're going to need somewhere to go. We need to ensure that our culture stays with us, our language. So lots of beautiful ladies were baking crazily. They were baking Karelian pies and pulla, all their beautiful sweets and desserts. Gosh, I miss those. And so that really was the catalyst for them. And then what they did was they bought an amazing block of land in Thornlands, for those that are in Queensland, in southeast Queensland. It was kind of out in the sticks when they first bought it, but it is prime location now. And that site is now home to a 60-bed residential facility. There is 21 independent living units, and they also provide service out in the community as well. So a beautiful, beautiful organisation that, again, leads with its heart, leads with what is important to them, and are so beautiful and open in sharing their culture with others that are open to learning about it as well. And I think that was my connection, that my family's journey was not too dissimilar to theirs. We all left our home countries in the 50s and 60s. Lots of the Finns and the Greeks ended up in Bonegilla in Queensland. And so to be able to share that our stories were the same, we just spoke a different language and ate slightly different food, it was that instant connection. And for me, that's what it's about. I want to build great connections with people, one, because, we're human. We want to have that connection. But it's also, it enables us to really empower those people that we're there to serve and care for. So it's awesome.
We're going to enter the Greek world in just a moment, but just before we do, what is that quintessential Finnish experience? What did you culturally? What can we expect when you meet a group of Finns?
What does caring for older people in your family look like? I'm really intrigued.
Okay, so for Finns, I think there is no fuss, no muss. I think, and they're very direct, which I love as well, I have to say. There's no, I'm going to say one thing and mean another. The Finns are very direct, and they are proud of that, and as they should be, because you know exactly where you stand instantly.
Right. Yes.
I've got some beautiful Finnish friends. I've got people that I used to work with that I now classify as my friends, and it's very, very black and white, and I love that. And they've also introduced me to sauna as well, because it's not sauna, it's sauna, which I would never have done. So, yeah.
Do you wear the hat?
No, I don't. And I also still wear my bathers when I go. I still wear my bathers when I go in the sauna. But I think it's very, I think the Finns are very clear. They're very concise, and they know what they do and don't like. But they are also, on the flip side, the most generous people you will also find as well. So apart from us Greeks.
Right. And now let's make that segue. Tell us about the Greek experience. And you're now the GM at GOC Care. You're loving it there. What do people experience when they walk in the door at GOC Care?
It is the biggest hug, I have to say. It is the biggest hug. So GOC Care has been around now for over 40 years. We started very, very, very humble beginnings here in South Brisbane. So for those of you that are local, you will know our beautiful church that we have in South Brisbane opposite Musgrave Park. And just a little insight that we've obviously got our 50th birthday for Bunny Hitty as well this year. So anyone that wants a true Greek experience, please come and visit us. It's going to be amazing. So we started very humble beginnings. We started in the church, and then our service offerings continue to grow, and we've gone from one end to the other. We have childcare, we have our Greek club, we've got our Greek language school where our children learn to speak Greek, and then there's GOC Care that focuses in on community aged care and also disability. And we, as I said, we lead from our hearts. We know how our community wishes to be respected, how we work with them. It's how we've grown up. It's not unusual for us to call some of our clients auntie or uncle, because that's how we've been brought up to respect our elders. Okay. And that service delivery is really about family as well. It's how we connect with our clients and the wider community. And you know, Brisbane is a big place, but every Greek knows somebody, which is really exciting. And so the simple answer is it feels like a big giant hug if you come to GOC, because we are so welcoming and just want people to have a good time, but also be cared for really well.
That's really, that's really interesting too. I wanted to pick up on that too. Do you feel there's a responsibility that comes with that that's different than what mainstream providers simply don't have to carry?
100%. So my grandparents, all my grandparents have since passed away. And for me, part of my, I'm going to get a bit emotional now. Part of my legacy is to serve those that came before us. And if it wasn't going to be for my grandparents, it's going to be for somebody else's grandparents that were so brave and took the plunge and packed up their houses, jumped on a boat, sat on a boat for 30 days and came to a country that they couldn't speak the language or had very little English, pushed through all those barriers and discrimination and all that sort of stuff and built these amazing communities for us for the second and third generation to be able to do what I do. So if I can't honour that to the very, very best of my ability, then I'm actually doing a disservice to my own grandparents. So there is a big responsibility that sits particularly for those of us in any organisation that we are honouring those that came before us.
Oh, absolutely. So what do you think our sector gets wrong most often about call residents?
What do we get wrong? There's a lot of assumptions made. There's a lot of assumptions about what does someone want or what they don't want, what is right, what is wrong. I think a lot of that comes down to have a conversation with someone, because two Greek people will want two different things, as will any culture, in fact. And I think sometimes we kind of bundle everybody together and go, oh, they're Greek, they must want this, or they're Finnish and they must want this. Communication is really the key to everything, and how you share those ideas with people is like critical. It's central.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about how you've catered for the Greek way of life and doing things at GOC.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I instantly fell in love with when I joined GOC was we are very privileged that we have a lot of space on our complex where we are in South Brisbane, and literally downstairs below my office here, we have our wellness centre. So this is where we bring, where all of our clients come for social support group programs. And what we essentially create is this beautiful microcosm of all of our Greek clients. And we obviously as well, we provide service to people that are not Greek as well. But the big chunk of our clients are in fact Greek. And downstairs in our wellness centre is like, and for those of you that come from other cultures, it is literally like going to a names day, to a celebration. You will see lots of our clients that you immediately go, oh, that's like my auntie, or that's like my grandmother. And the conversation in there is just, it warms your heart. And so what we do is we cultivate that environment for them, and we're providing culturally specific food. So it's not unusual to see a spanakopita on the menu, or to see all our beautiful food that we have. You know, our desserts are out of this world. I was much skinnier before I started here. But do you know
occupational
what?
hazard?
Absolutely. But you know what, I'm happy to take, because food is what also brings us together. It is something that we do, and I think all cultures do it in different ways. You know, I always joke with colleagues or my family and friends going, you know, if we're happy and we're celebrating, we're eating. If there's something really sad and solemn, we'll be like, we're going to make you something to feel better. And really, food, music and dancing is what brings that together. It's not unusual for me to go downstairs when I can hear the music and I'll go and dance with the clients. Like it is just something that is ingrained in us. I think once you've got Greek blood, you hear that music and you're like, that's it, I'm on.
And what's the plate bill like there at GOC?
Sorry, pardon me.
You know, a lot of smashed plates when people.
Look, that's really reserved for very, very special times. Right. But definitely we will be doing that at Bunny Hitty this year. So get down to Musgrave Park.
Right. There we go. So not after every meal. They don't just.
No. Oh my God, we run out of plates already.
I'm done.
Well,
need some service here. Yeah. and I did want to ask, and forgive me if I am making light of a little bit, but big fat Greek wedding. Did they get it right?
Windex.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of Windex?
Yeah, look. Even in my own extended family, we've got lots of Steves, Helens, and Georges. So yeah, it's not unusual. The traditions that we have, the family expectations, very much so. But yeah, so it's not too dissimilar.
I'll do my. What do you mean you don't eat no meat?
Yeah, it's okay. Lamb. I'll make lamb. Yeah, we've got a cousin of mine that was vegetarian, but he would have some fish. And the poor bugger, every time we had a family event, there would be an entire cooked fish for one person, and he's like, "It's all good." Like, you know what? Again, it comes from that desire to have people feel welcome and together, and making them feel like, you know, there's nothing that we can't do for them, and you know, and it's not about money, it's how we make somebody feel, and I think we carry that in how we do our jobs as well.
Now, Alex, on a little bit of the government's offering with this, there's been a lot of big releases this week with some of the budgets and other aspects, but the government now offers called specialization verification of aged care. And providers like Benetas, a client of ours, you know, they've received a lot to expand this work. Do verifications and specialized grants generally shift outcomes? You know, what's been your experience, and I guess maybe share for some of the other operators listening in.
Look, for us, it's enabled us to, I guess, specialize what we do. Funding goes so far, but obviously when you want to do slightly different nuanced things, I might say though, and I'm not being political, it is very difficult to go through those verification processes and the hoops that you have to run. Like, I mean, you only need to walk into our organization and you can see that we are very Greek. But it does allow us to find, alternate programs for our clients to, you know, find those really specific things that don't fit the beautiful cookie cutter. But it also allows us as well to find different clients as well, in terms of ones that may not have thought that they would be able to come and, you know, share in our programs because they just thought that they weren't eligible. But it gives us those extra pieces to go out to the community and be able to say, is there something that we can do to help you? Is there something else? And I think the other component of that as well is that people are also very, very proud. So they also don't want to ask for help. So also having that additional funding allows us as well to kind of slowly introduce those things and being able to bring the clients on the journey as quickly as they would like, or as slowly as they would like as well. So it is good. And we're very, very grateful for the funding. It's just a lot of paperwork.
There's a lot of reporting.
So we are going to we're going to have Kathy Eager on the show shortly to talk about some of the changes that we've had at Support at Home and CHSP and the ongoing. So I won't steal her thunder, but I noticed that you're a Queensland State Council member for Ageing Australia. So you are all involved. Tell us about that role
Yeah.
and why you got involved and what you're passionate about there as well. With
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
focus.
Absolutely. So for all of the organisations I've worked for, we've always had our obviously subscription to Ageing Australia, or ACPA as they were before. And for me, it was again another opportunity for me to share my insights for Queensland. Obviously, when I joined, the Queensland SMC are an amazing group of people. Our wonderful chair, Mel Argent from Rockpool, always says that we are the best SMC in Australia. So just putting that out there, we absolutely are. We absolutely are. And I think being on that council actually allows each of us to bring our own flavour to that in terms of how we respond to requests for information from Ageing Australia. It allows us to raise things very quickly as well. And that SMC is really, it brings a whole group of people together. So we have residential experts, we've got community experts, we've got retirement living, but we also as well, and I think this is what is unique, pardon me, about Queensland, is that we also have some really regional and remote SMC committee members where, you know, we often talk about, you know, we say how difficult it is to find staff in, downtown Brisbane. And then we have a wonderful member out in Dysart, Anna Hearn from Hinterland, and she says to us, well, guys, I also don't have a lot of staff, but we're driving 200 kilometres to go and see a client. And so for us that are in the city or in Metro, we are so humbled by that. And then we really push and advocate for our colleagues out in regional and remote. So, Queensland's on a very different, I think we operate slightly differently. But as Mel always says, we're the best SMC here in Australia.
Sounds like that's where the party's at. So if you're in Queensland, go hang out with the AA crew by the sounds of things, making things happen. We've got some friends of the show that have already said hi to you, Alexandra.
You're very popular
in Queensland. Ant's obviously in Queensland now too. You've got a bit of a Queensland contingent here. And
we're best buds now. Alexandra was actually my first friend in Brisbane. And, when you go to a new place, you think, how am I going to meet people? 41 years old. I used to meet people on the basketball court, but, I
it's really tricky when you're a grown-up, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, the best thing about aged care is the friends we make.
That's it.
As Ant has found out. But nothing like a basketball in the face to know you're alive. Hey?
Yeah, it was actually an elbow on the court.
That's it.
Hey, it's getting to the time of the show. I want to give a shout out to a few people who have commented though. Ronna Guzman and hello, Ronna.
She's doing great community work in Sydney. We'll raise the roof for Ronna. We've
got Julie Hogarth Williams raising the roof.
Yes, we love Julie, and thank you for everything you're doing. Keep your arms up. Seniors channel.
Warmed up. Julie, and then Kelly Burnett. You must, or she's saying hello to you specifically.
Yeah. And Kelly and I worked at FinCare together. Amazing home care manager.
Well, Alex,
Kelly is Kelly joining us? Because we have to hear some FinCare stories.
Well, Kelly, if you're watching, jump on Kelly, backstage. The link is there. We do have Cheryl Language backstage.
Kelly. We're asking you. You're not volunteering.
There was some big news there this week, Alex. I'm pretty interested to see what your organization's response was. So, we learned the algorithm that doesn't speak Greek, but effectively last week for those...
Doesn't speak a lot of languages.
No, apparently not. But the Commonwealth Ombudsman confirmed that they've now opened investigation into the integrated assessment tool. So the numbers, though, was quite striking. I mean, there was 834 review requests just by the 30th of March of this year. So that was double, so 100% increase on the previous reporting period. But when you first heard about that algorithm and not a clinician in the process, what was your thoughts and where were you? I guess what went through your head, but also was that apparent to you as an operator in home care and some of the other providers of this, that we had a robo-debt? Because I guess I've seen a lot of that work happening, but I wasn't. My interpretation is that I think a lot of clinicians out there specifically just assume there was a clinical in the loop type of process, which obviously now it's showing that there wasn't at all.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, I think, since the IoT actually rolled out. And again, and I go back to our SMC discussions, we have an amazing home care superstar there, Adrian Morgan from FlexiCare, who is a very, very big advocate.
Yes.
For obviously the continued review of the support at home program end to end, and obviously I'm loath to say shortcomings, but maybe I might say shortcomings of some of the aspects of the program entirety. But the assessment tool is not right, and we know that. And I think the thing that was really, that probably hit us most was when we had clinicians going out and doing those assessments, and there wasn't an ability to add additional notes. There was no ability to override from a clinical review, which seemed a little strange given how much importance there was on clinical oversight in this new program for it to almost be completely ignored at the front end. So I think it's extremely, extremely welcomed that there is absolutely a review, but they're going to need to hustle and get this right, because we have so many people out there in the community either waiting for their first assessment or waiting for a reassessment, that, even if we do get there, will it still be done correctly? And will we have to go back and ask for a following review, which really goes against the entire reason that we have support at home, which is about getting the support that our elders in the community need when they need it. And I think that was the tagline that the department used: get the care that you need when you need it. But really hard when you've got to wait, up to a year for an assessment, and then that much again for your funding to come through. I know there's not an endless bucket of money. I'm also, very pragmatic about that. But what is it that we're doing now to actually get the services and the money out there so that we can support these clients to stay in their home as long as possible?
Did you have clients that personally that were clinically underclassified?
So we've got a few, but the minute that they came in, we were immediately onto reassessment and requests for further information, and obviously reassessment. But all of that takes time. As we've always said, if you plan something appropriately to begin with, you won't need to have to go back and do 16 takes at it. And it's not like we're building widgets. We are literally supporting human beings out in the community. And I think as a whole community of Australia, we've got a responsibility to those. And again, when I come back to it, we've got a responsibility to those elders that came before us. We wouldn't have what we have without them. And yet now there's a reluctance and a slowdown in terms of what we can now provide and support them in their golden years, and making it really difficult for them and jumping through all these hoops. And again, and I don't want to jump on top of what I assume Kathy is going to talk about, but with the update that came this week about personal care, so showering and dressing and continence aids now being put into clinical, why was that not there to begin with? That's not just value add. That's something that somebody needs, absolutely. So the quicker that comes, the better. And I think, and I don't want to be here bashing at the department. They've got a lot of moving parts, but I think it should hopefully be the beginning of, let's actually go in there now and actually start to review some of these components that the sector-wide, both our clients out in the community, providers, and indeed, advocates, what they're saying about what works and what doesn't in home care. So sorry, that was my little soapbox. Can you tell I'm very passionate?
It's
very important.
I don't want anyone to be left behind, essentially.
I didn't expect to be a black box. I would have thought there would be a human control or an intervention in there. That's the whole point of human in the loop. Not to just have a black box that says computer says no.
Before we get to the open mic portion of the show, I just want to finish out the shout out. So Sarah Mitchell, shout out to her. She's in the background. Libby, friendly face of the show, and love it when she comes by.
We love Libby. Hey, Libby,
Kelly
come join us.
Burnett, maybe she may be coming on. I sent her the link, so hopefully she jumps on. And now we have 3 people backstage. Before we bring them on backstage, I've got a poll to put out. Someone texted me with a bit of a question saying, for those support at home providers, do you provide work devices to your employees, or do they have apps installed on their phone? So I'm going to see if I can move this because it's covering your face, Owen, unless you want to shift your seat to maybe your left or right. No, you're definitely hidden there. So type in 1 if you provide work devices, type in 2 if they have apps installed, and that would, that's how we do the poll. I'm gonna try it out.
That's how we roll. We're asking. We're almost at open mic, and we want to hear your voice.
There we go.
That's what this poll is all about. We have, and speaking of polls and community engagement, let's give a big shout out to the amazing, tireless agitators for change at Invox. Paul Sadler, who was on the show last week, Roland Nafal, Lee, forgive me, I've forgotten your surname, and Matt Hart. Just incredible work that they're doing. They had over 700 people assembled in Melbourne for the cause of talking about the real issues in support at home, making sure operators are viable, making sure they understand all of their options on how they can, navigate the various changes. And it was like one big circle of trust, a big group therapy session. And when it came to the end of the conference, you know how everyone's leaving, and by the last session, hardly anyone's there, and the speaker's wondering why they're on the stage. And not at Invox. We didn't lose hardly anyone. It would have been 1 or 2 people of the whole room, because they were so fixated on what was being said and what the next steps were in terms of outcomes. So a shout out to the amazing team at Invox. We're looking forward to doing more with you. They also, if you don't know, we mentioned Quanda. They have over 3,200 people engaged in the support at home, the Commonwealth support at home, and just general aged care, and where you get to ask any question as a professional in a safe place, and you can get engagement around the issues that matter. So we're inspired by you, and we're going to try and do polls. We're not doing it as well as you yet, because you guys are leading the way. But it was funny, I've got to shout out, they used a thing called Slido. Are you guys familiar with Slido? And sometimes you go to the room and there's a live question and you respond. And it was like, what are some of the key issues or things that you're going to do out of this conference? And one was, I'm going to hold on to hope. I'm going to seek solace in tequila and scotch. But then there was change as well. So what are you most grateful for, actually, was the question. So some was alcohol, which is great, and thank you for sharing, and especially at an AA meeting. but the other was, Invox, community, solidarity, and that they're not alone. So, we've got to have a bit of fun. It's Friday afternoon.
Yeah. And just quickly, you were covered by the poll the whole time. Move your head to the other way. No, other way. Maybe there. Now you're in frame. I can't move this thing. Okay, we're gonna go with Cheryl language first. We're bringing Cheryl. Actually, I'm just gonna remove the poll. It's not working.
Yes, Cheryl. Yes.
Cheryl. I don't think she realized we were going to bring her on, so she's popped off. Next in line, though, is Kathy Eager, and then we've got Suganya afterwards. So let's bring on Kathy.
Kathy, welcome back.
Yeah, Kathy. She is. Kathy Eager.
Kathy, I've got a big question for you.
Always eager for change, Kathy. We're going to raise the roof. All for Kathy.
Thank you.
So, Kathy, what is going on out here? So, black boxes, no human, controls. If you were drafting the fix, not politically but operationally, what would you change tomorrow in this situation?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say is it's time to celebrate some success.
Yes. Thank you, Kathy.
For the last
Let's take a
2
moment.
years, people have worked so hard, and then it went live, and it's been such a disaster that it's really hurt a lot of older people. It's really burnt out and damaged a lot of staff and a lot of advocates. So this week is a real milestone, and we need to celebrate that. It's felt to a lot of people like the government had 10 ears, it just wasn't listening, and the department wasn't listening. This was a big step because it did two things. One was actually fix the personal care problem, and the second is that it's actually has to be the beginning of fixing the rest of supported home. There's more to do.
So before we get into it, Kathy,
we really had this whole thing that it was all perfect, and all of a sudden there's an admission that it's not perfect, and we should celebrate that. And it's not because people were running around in the department working it out. It's because people on the outside were agitating, and mostly they were not the peak bodies. They were ordinary people at the coalface saying this isn't working.
So, Kathy, please give a shout out to those ordinary people that you know that are working behind the scenes tirelessly for this amazing outcome.
Yeah, well, I think what happened this time is that the media got behind us in a way they don't normally give much time to aged care. A really big shout out. You know, Anne Connolly is just a stellar performer at the ABC. She's the journalist who did the expose on residential care that led to the Royal Commission. She's been in there pushing. Julie Cross.
Thank you, Anne Connolly. Raise the roof for Anne Connolly.
You know, Julie Cross did a champion with her Fix Aged Care campaign, and they were linking me and other people all the time saying, who can we talk to? And we were linking them up to, you know, everyday workers in Meals on Wheels and in other sorts of services who were actually inviting them into their homes and showing you how bad it is. So I think that's
great. So we'll raise the roof for Julie Cross as well. We don't want to leave her out. They're the unsung heroes. We know in aged care heroes aren't always recognised, so we need to do that.
Media, you know, Jacob Neeland and others in the aged care and health media have been consistently reporting on what a disaster this is. I mean, I have to say, I think there's a word of learning for the peak bodies, and they have to do some really hard soul searching, because from the beginning, they were really holding hands with government and not speaking out about these issues. And all of a sudden, government has said, oh, no, actually, we got it wrong. And I think it is an issue about it's very tricky being a peak body when you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. But on the other hand, you're there representing the constituency, and that constituency was feeling really disenfranchised. And Inbox has done a stellar job because they've actually re-enfranchised people who were feeling that they weren't being heard.
Well, we're going to raise the roof for Invox, the tireless work they're doing. We know Roland's on a plane to Europe to recover.
Kathy, I guess just on that point, though,
Matt, and they're all signing off after a year of solid work.
A lot of work on that.
A lot of people behind the scenes that we just want to honour. Too many names to mention, but the amazing work that Invox is doing to rally community and give them a voice.
And also to let you know that the CHSP Alliance, of which I'm one of the two co-conveners, has partnered with Invox, and we are doing the CHSP Alliance Invox conference. Well, Invox is doing the work, of course, in August in Melbourne and online. So please, if you're interested in primary aged care, in CHSP, get that into your diary and make sure you connect.
Yes, and we'll post the date on that in just a moment, because we'd love to really proactively promote that over the next few weeks. And I included a link to an article that you recently put out around the main objectives of the CHSP Alliance. But before we go there, one thing that we put out on LinkedIn this afternoon Kathy. The first is that it's one glass and we're celebrating. It's not the whole bottle, but it is a glass. And so cheers to everyone that's made that happen. Rob, if you can do a sound effect for clinks or cheers. Well done, everyone.
Only one glass, though. You have to keep the rest of the bottle for later.
Yeah, that's right. The bottle, keep it on ice because we will be going back for more. And you were saying it's the first concession of many more changes that are needed. And at the macro level, the minister needs to restructure into a 3-tier system. Would you like to sort of talk us through what that 3-tier system could look like?
Look, I might just start with the micro about and get support at home out of the way.
Yes, yeah, let's do that.
It was an important win, but there are at least 3 more top wins on my list. One is to amalgamate the everyday living and independence categories and just make it one. And it is completely irrational that you have to pay this huge amount of money to get Meals on Wheels, the overhead cost, the charges you're being paid, and it's substantially higher than for community transport. You need both in order to maintain your independence. And the idea that you've got this artificial distinction is really nuts. The second issue is the issue of assessment and the algorithm. The problem is not the algorithm. The problem is actually the funding levels. But the assessment, the consultants who did the work for them recommended proportional assessment. And the department rejected that and implemented full-scale assessment. So you've got this massively over-engineered system. It's costing $1.5 billion or some ridiculous amount of money, which could be better spent on people actually getting services. So the whole assessment system needs to be rethought and needs to be proportional. If I can live happily inside my house, but I can no longer drive and I need community transport to get me to the shops, I shouldn't have to go and get on a line with 200,000 other people for a comprehensive assessment. I just need an assessment about my need to get to the shops and the doctor. And I think the third thing is about means testing. And I've been pushing for a long time, and I'm not the only one, that if you're living in the community, your aged care contribution should be capped at 10% of your fortnightly income. Because what the system does now is that it punishes the really frail. The most vulnerable people have to pay the most.
Yeah, that's not right.
Care fixes that to a degree, but there's a lot of other services where people are still being asked to pay 50 and 80% of the cost. And the costs are much higher than they could buy it out there in the cash economy. So we've got more to do, but this personal care win was a very, very big win.
And that's what NICAT, I think, was saying, is that we pronounce the acronym, the government's expert panel, because they had those concerns as well about people foregoing services because of those co-contributions.
Absolutely they were. And it wasn't, these were not trivial amounts. We're talking about somebody on a full pension expected to pay $200 a week.
Yeah.
And if they needed more, pension didn't go up, but the bills they got went up.
So what do you think changes in the next 6 months? And I guess, what are you worried won't change?
Well, we can, now that the minister has made this first concession on support at home, there is a pathway for the sector to agree on what are the other big changes that are required to make this system sustainable. And go back at the system level, we're trying to do two things. One is we're trying to give people quality of life living at home, and the other is we're trying to stop them going to hospitals and going to residential aged care prematurely. And the whole system at the moment is penny wise, pound stupid. So unless the government takes that bigger perspective and start to look at the allocative efficiency of the system and not just the technical efficiency in economic terms, we're never going to get it right. But I think that now, to your other question about what's our vision through support at home, through the CHSP Alliance. So we've set up this CHSP Alliance, and we've got 40 foundation members, and after we got going, we invited others to join, and we still are. And we've got well over 100 people in the Alliance now, so that's all great, and we've issued 3 more papers. If all that happens with CHSP is that it just gets left like it is, we will see that as failure. We won't see that as success. So we're not just campaigning and saying, don't fold it into supported home. We're saying, build on something that's really good. And CHSP is the only part of the aged care system that's really worked well for 40 years. And what we need is to restructure the whole of the aged care system into 3 tiers, just like the health system. You talk to any old person and they understand that primary care is their GP and the physio they go to and the podiatrist. And if they need something more, they'll go to the district hospital or they'll go and see the medical specialist. And if they're really, really complex, they'll end up in a tertiary hospital. Understand that. They can't understand the aged care system because it's not structured in a way that's sensible. And we're advocating for it to be structured in the same way. CHSP becomes the platform for a newly invigorated primary aged care service to sit next to and integrated with the primary healthcare service. When you're old, you can't tell the distinction between your health needs and your aged care needs because they're not 2 distinct entities. That's an artificial bureaucratic construct and an industry construct, not in the interests of older people. So we want a really integrated primary care sector. And if you go and see your GP and they tap you on the shoulder and say you've got macular degeneration and I'm going to have to take away your license, they should be able to say on the day, but I can prescribe community transport for you so you can sit down when you need to go out. And you shouldn't have to go and get on my aged care and wait a year. So GPs have always prescribed medicines and they're frustrated because most of the big issues, hello, Paul, for them being So we want the GPs to be able to write scripts for meals and community transport and day programs and lifestyle and prevention programs and not just be writing scripts for medicines.
So take us back for a moment. You and Paul were sitting around the table. You've known each other for a while. For those tuning in for the first time, how long have you been working with Paul and what have been some of those meaningful projects? And then take us up to the current.
We've been working together since 40 years, I reckon.
That's a little while.
Just a little while.
Hey, before we jump on to the next, continue on with this segment, there's been a few questions asked specifically directed to Alexandra. I want to get her thoughts on this.
Please.
Just in case they weren't able to get an answer. So first question was an anonymous question, which is where do you see the biggest disconnects between the new policy framework and the actual day-to-day needs of the families you support? And the other question is from Tamizini Tanasi. What's the biggest headache currently you're facing in aged care? And I think she followed up with a third question. Oh, this was directed towards Kathy. Kathy faces many issues in their experience. How do you handle these pain points? And I'll bring these up one by one so you don't have to remember them all. It's just coming from Sarah Mitchell. So thank you, Sarah. So going back to the first question, Alexandra.
Okay, so in regards to the disconnect between policy and actual day-to-day, I think Kathy has actually talked a lot about this, that in an ideal world, policy would have been beautifully well written. It would have been, there would have been really good, robust consultation. The consultation would have been acted upon because the day-to-day of what we see is not reflecting the intent of the policy. The policy was always about getting the care that people needed at the time that they needed it. But what we're seeing in a day-to-day world is not that. As I mentioned earlier today, there is long wait times, as Kathy's also spoken about today, between having to go to My Aged Care and get a new assessment when you need one component and then somebody is waiting for it. So I think there is absolutely a disconnect between what is it that the policy was intending to do versus what we see. And I think that also links beautifully to the question, the second question in regards to what is the biggest headache that we're facing at the moment in aged care. And I think that it's kind of interconnected in that the biggest thing that we're seeing at the moment is that when someone finally gets through assessment and then waiting for a package to be assigned, we are struggling to find really good staff to be able to facilitate this program. And it is not because people don't want to be here. And I think that that's something that I really want to impress on everybody that's on here today. Those of us that work in aged care are here because we want to be here and that we have that passion to work with those people in our community. But the complexity that has come from the framework and the manuals that we now need to work within have kind of, we've almost got that, dare I say it, that post-COVID fatigue of I'm done, there's too much. And we are losing really, really good people from our sector because it's just become all too much. I've known some really amazing care partners that have been in our sector for a very long time. And what we sometimes talk about, the billable hours that we have to do behind the scenes to be able to show what we're doing and how we're supporting our clients and how we're, wrapping around services and undertaking further assessments and referrals. The time and date behind that is actually taking away from the work that we're doing every day. And please don't get me wrong. I understand why we needed our Royal Commission because things were not working appropriately. But I think that there is a vast majority that were doing the right thing and are still continuing to do the right thing. But there is this huge overlay now of everybody has been tarred with the same brush. And that is really tricky in provider space because we're actually here to be, being able to support our clients. It's not about everything else. It's just about them and putting them at the center of what we do. So I've kind of answered both of those questions at the same time for you, but yeah, and I'm just conscious of the time.
No, I love it. Look, I'm conscious of the time and we just had Paul jump on, but please, Paul and Kathy, jump on next week as well. Actually, next week, I want to make this announcement that we are moving this slot to 1 p.m. because this slot actually doesn't work for me. So big announcement. I think we can catch the school drop-off crowd as well, who otherwise can't make this show. So hopefully we can catch that crowd. We'll get the lunch crowd in and hopefully we can make, but we've still got 2-3 minutes of Paul. Anything you'd like to add before we say goodbye for the week?
So I just thought I should pop on briefly. I've been on another meeting that clashed today, and just let you know how the Inbox conference went this last week. So we had 750 people between in-person and online.
Amazing.
The overwhelming feeling in the room when asked to nominate a word that described their experience of the Support at Home program was frustrated. And other words such as confused, over bureaucratic, etc., exactly the things you were saying, Alexandra. Were the virtually unanimous experience. But where we landed was the government has a different perspective, and its perspective is that it's a wonderful success. And their view of Support at Home is so contrasted with the experience of older people who are saying it's basically a failure, and the experience of the providers who say it is this frustrating mess at the moment, that the disconnect between the two is dramatic. So, we did end up with a positive take on all of this at the end of the conference. There was a lot of good sharing of information, practical help, some steps people could take, e.g. on the assessment question, we got practical advice from a lawyer and from a practitioner, Adrian Morgan, about how people could assist people to complain about the outcomes of their assessment. So it was a very practically focused event. And, you know, from Kathy and my point of view, doing the advocacy piece around CHSP, there was also some strong messages of support for that from people like Ian Yates, the former Inspector General of Aged Care, and from Natalie Siegel-Brown, the current Inspector General.
And she was very engaged, Paul. She actually came in the day prior or to actually really get a consensus of the room and the big issues. And you also had Daryl Price, I believe, and you had Stuart Hutchin talking about margins and what practical choices needed to be made to reflect and pass on some of those costs in a fair way to make sure that the businesses remain sustainable. We are talking about the CHSP Alliance. For those who don't know, it's been formed. Kathy's given an overview about 40 founding members, but how did that come about and what are you wanting to see?
Whoa. Before we do that, let's, sorry to have to do this executioner style. That's a great question to address in the next episode, which is next week.
Yes.
Let's, Owen, if you want to.
Yeah, that was just to stay tuned for.
Yeah, stay tuned. We left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So if you were to leave it on a cliffhanger, what would you say?
Well, let's hear about it next week. Owen, give us the conclusion. Give us a summary. Let's close it up. And Rob, play us out.
Well, Paul, thanks for dropping by, and obviously a lot more to say. Kathy, thank you for your tireless work. Really excited by the Alliance, CHSP and Inbox coming together as a force multiplier for good. And so everyone, enjoy the champagne. We've got to win. And as we say on all things aged care, all for one and one for all things aged care. Your voice matters.
Happy Anzac Day, everyone.
Thank you.